So this is going to be a bit of a shorter video. I just wanted to give you guys a bit of an update on where my character is sitting in terms of my stats, my gear, and everything. In terms of the attributes, we're still running the exact same layout with 100 dex, 200 int, and 120 constitution. And the reason why we're at 120 is so that when used with the 30 constitution food, I can hit that 150 constitution perk, getting that critical hit damage reduction, which helps a lot. So stats for running the same thing. Taking a look at the weapon trees, we're running the exact same thing as well. I did do a little update video talking about my fire staff. So I'm still running that same setup where we dropped Rune of Helios and focused on more passives. Try to focus on getting the Watch It Burn, or Let It Burn, excuse me, to try and keep that Fortify up. With this like passive setup, if you don't like Pillar and you wanted to run Fireball instead, you can run pretty much this exact setup by just switching out Pillar and Fireball. You don't have to drop any of these passives. You literally just have to go ahead and take out the 3 points here and put them in Fireball. So this setup that I'm using can work for both Pillar and Fireball. Taking a look at the Gauntlet. As I mentioned in my last video, if you have not seen it, I have dropped Entomb for the time being just because it is very, very weak. And especially for a lead armor build with the amount of health that I have, it's quite difficult to make any use of this ability at all. So I have dropped this for Storm. Because we're running a more aggressive playstyle and we're using Storm now, I have picked up Heavy Freeze. So I believe previously I was running Gathering Storm instead of Heavy Freeze with some perks on the right, but I still have most of the perks here. The only ones we don't have are the ones that give us mana back, because we don't really need any mana regeneration perks. The fact that we are not a full mage and that we have the 200 point passive where every time we dodge we get 10 mana, we really don't have any problem sustaining mana on either of these builds. So you don't really need these two passives. I just went and gone for all of the damage ones. We have a full spike, full storm, ultimate chill, and then ice shower. And then taking a look at the gear, perk wise, we're still running the same perks as well. I have been trying to slowly upgrade my pieces, but we're running Ice Refresh. I have dropped Healing Tomb because it is not working and we're not using the ability anymore, but we still have Sundering Riposte, Omnidirectional Evade, and I've picked up Unending Thaw because we're using that Ice Storm now. And when it comes to my Fire Staff setup, all of these pieces are the same. The only piece that I change out is my my legs. So instead of running the Unending Thaw, I would just put on these guys that have Refreshing Pillar of Fire. Or if you're running a Fire Staff, or sorry, Fireball, you could just put Empowering Fireball here. But taking a look at the weapons, I have been trying to steadily keep upgrading the damage because it is quite noticeable. I am running two different rapiers for both my Fire Staff and Ice Gauntlet. Honestly, you don't really need to do it. The only reason I did it is because of the gems. As I mentioned, you do want to run the Frozen Gem inside of your Rapier whenever you're running your Ice Gauntlet. But in terms of your Fire Staff, it's not really needed. But the only thing that I wanted was the visual effects of the gem. So I have another Rapier that has an Arcane Gem that I use with my Fire Staff. But as I mentioned, if you just wanted to use one Rapier that has really, really good perks, you could just kind of run that on both. But in terms of the actual perks on my weapons, because I have been getting some questions about perks as well. Currently, I'm running Rogue on my Ice Gauntlet and Rapier setup because I find that you have more opportunities to land backstabs, both being within parry and just by the fact that you have multiple abilities to lock people down. It gives you many more chances to actually get backstabs off, whether it be light attacks with your Fauché, with your heavy attack, off of the parry. So I find that when I'm running my Gauntlet, Rogue definitely shines more on this setup. And then in terms of my Gauntlet, for both your Gauntlet and your Fire Staff, I have found that as long as you can get Vicious and any other perk, then that's going to be a good perk setup, because with the damage that we lost from the last patch, Vicious is kind of the only perk that kind of gives you some of the damage to make the weapons viable. Even prior to the patch, Vicious was still a pretty good perk to have on your magical weapons, but it's pretty much needed now. But in terms of my Fire Staff and Rapier setup, I'm running Enchanted and Keenly Empowered right now. I found that Keenly Empowered is one of the stronger perks, and if you compare this with any other perk, whether that be Enchanted, Keen, anything that can give you damage, Keenly Empowered is one of the perks that really shines because it essentially gives you a 15% damage boost on command. We have enough crit on the build to where you almost can guarantee yourself a crit at the start of a combo. So when you're going in for a combo and then you're disengaging, you can really boost your damage in those combo windows. Excuse me. So I've been running Enchanted and Keenly Empowered for my Fire Staff setup. And then same thing like I mentioned, you're still just going to want to have Vicious when it comes to your Fire Staff. And then in terms of my jewelry, we still have health on our amulet, because just to get that 10k health cap or health number. I have Keen Awareness on my ring, which is going to be really, really nice because it just helps buff your build overall, and it gives you crit in a static slot, so that whether or not while I'm switching up my weapons, while I'm upgrading different rapiers, upgrading different magical weapons, I don't have to worry about having Keen because I have it on my ring. If I can get an extra piece that has Keen on my weapons, then it's just more on top. But the fact that I have it here in my ring gives me more freedom in my weapon choices. And then I'm still running that ill-gotten gains. But yeah, I believe that is all. If you have any other questions, please let me know and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. But thank you guys so much and have a great day.